Hello, students. Once again, I welcome you all. Presently, we are dealing with Search for a Stranger, written by Gordon S. Livingston. And up till now, we have completed a considerable portion from this lesson. I hope I'll be able to complete this lesson today. See, on page number 39, I discussed in the previous class that with lot of efforts, the author Gordon S. Livingston could reach to the spot, that is the residence of his genetical mother, and now he has already knocked the door, and the lady who opened the door was no one else but his mother. Now you see what actually happens here. Coffee had been made, and when I accepted a cup, I heard the china make a tinkling sound in her trembling hands. After some awkward amenities, I said that I would like to know about her and my father. She began to speak in a low, guarded voice. She had been born in 1912 to a farm family in Mississippi. By frugal living, her parents were able to send her to college. She taught first and third grades in Mississippi for some 20 years and then retired to take a job as an administrator in the school system of neighboring state. So students, now we come to know about a few more aspects of the life of the author. As soon as the author get inside the house, of course, there was no grand welcome as such, because mother and the son both were in a very different tension. But anyhow, he was cordially invited inside. He was offered with a cup of coffee. But while handing over the cup of coffee, the body language of his mother was showing that she was very, very restless and anxious. As you know, our author was a child psychiatrist by profession. He could make out the psychology of an individual very quickly. In fact, while handing over the cup of coffee, his mother was trembling. But anyhow, she could manage herself. First of all, the author introduced himself and requested her that he would like to know more about his mother and his father as well. In a very low, guarded voice, the mother started speaking, and she told that she was born in 1912 in a farm family located in Mississippi. They had a frugal living. Her parents could afford to send her to the college, and in the course of time, she completed her college education as well. After completing her couple of degrees, she joined as a teacher in Mississippi and worked there for almost 20 years or so. Actually, she taught to the first and the third grades in the school. And after getting retired from the job, she joined as an administrator in the school system of a neighboring state. So, at least some more information our author could retrieve from his mother. But so far, she did not talk anything about the father of the author. But when she began to speak of my birth, her voice was dull. Her voice was full of emotion. Back in those days, in a small southern community, the disgrace of being pregnant and unmarried, it was more than I could face, more than I could ask my family to face. In fact, it was very difficult for the mother to say everything about the origin of the author. But anyhow, she composed herself and started talking about the birth of the author. Now she talked about the southern community, the typical mindset of the people, and the disgrace of being pregnant and unmarried. She was reluctant to say, but she started talking about it. In fact, it was also difficult for her to face the community, and it was also difficult to reveal the fact to the members of the family. And then she could find a way out and gave birth to the author later. She continued in a monotone. It was during my first year of teaching. Your father was older, 28, a most handsome man, a marvelous dancer. Now you see here, the mother started talking about his father. She was in a monotonous mood, but anyhow, she composed herself and started talking. Probably that was the very first year of her teaching career, and she happened to meet a marvelous dancer and handsome man who was at the age of 28, and probably they could develop a relationship in a very short period of time. According to the mother, he was the only man I ever loved before or since. When I learned I was pregnant, I begged him to marry me and give me my baby a clear name. He said, we would have to think about things. I never saw him again. I went to Memphis to have my baby, and no one back home ever knew anything about it. 3 years ago, I read that your father died of cancer. Some more information we could retrieve about the mother. As she was very well associated with this man, a very handsome man, a marvelous dancer. And she also proclaims that he was the only person whom she loved before and later. But by the time she came to know about her pregnancy, immediately she approached the handsome man, requested him to get married with, but he was reluctant. He simply said, okay, let us see, we will think about it. And later on he disappeared from the place and never met the author's mother. After all, the author's mother took the decision that she will give birth to the child. In order to hide the fact about it to the members of the family and society, she went to Memphis. She delivered the baby and later on came back home as if nothing happened, and till date nobody knew about this kind of fact. But just a few years ago, like 3 years ago, she came to know that the author's father died of cancer. That was the end of the story, the end of my search. It was not an unusual story in my ways, a one-sided love affair, a young woman bereft and with child. But this was our story, hers and mine, and across the years I could feel the shame and confusion of that young school teacher as she faced the decision which would separate her from me. See the conditions which were experienced by the author and the mother both. According to the author, that was the end of the story, end of his search also. Because whatever he wanted to find out, he could find out and he could see his mother. But it was not an unusual story in many ways. According to the author, it was a one-sided love affair. A young woman who fell in love with a handsome man, and the handsome man deceived her, did not take any responsibility, ultimately ran away, and then she was left alone with a baby to face the whole world. Her feelings of remorse were deep. It has been the bitter regret of my life that I lost my baby because of my own cowardice, he said. In fact, the mother had a great feeling of remorse. She thought that it was her own cowardice that she could not really face the situation and give the child the real name of herself and the father. And now she is also taking up the entire responsibility for it. But I had my own way of keeping track of your development as a child. I knew that in 1944 you would be 6 years old and in the first grade. I could hardly wait for my own class of 44. When I gave intelligence quotient test, I hoped the brightest one was you. When I comforted a defeated child, I feared that he might be you. The mother has expressed her feelings in front of the author very frankly this time. She told that, you may be away from me, you may be not directly calling me mother, but I kept on tracking your development as a child. In 1944, probably at that time you were just at the age of 6, studying in first grade, and I happened to be your teacher. I gave intelligence quotient test, and I always expected that it should be the only student, that is my son, yourself, to be standing first in the class. And you have always proved it because you have been a promising student of the school. A remembering smile touched her face. You did everything at top. You did everything at top speed that year. You were aggressive yet vulnerable and easily wounded by harsh words. I learned that you needed an atmosphere of tolerance and love. I tried to give it to you by giving it to all those children. Now the author came to know that the teacher who taught him in the very first grade was no one but his own mother. She added a few more things in this respect, that as a child when I saw you in the school, You were always a promising student, no doubt about it. But you were very much aggressive yet vulnerable. If at all somebody says even a single word, you felt like as if you were wounded by a harsh word. And the mother came to know about it, and she realized that you desperately needed the atmosphere of tolerance and love, and that was what I tried my level best to give to the entire class, but with a special focus on you. It was an illusion, of course, but I half believed it. And when it came time for me to say goodbye to that class in the spring, I felt sick with guilt. It was as if I were abandoning you the second time. Then, during the following winter, there came the news that a third grade teacher was retiring. I immediately petitioned the school board for a transfer to that grade, and it was granted. I would again be your teacher, this time when you were 8. So for the entire one academic year, the author's mother taught him in the first grade. But according to her, it was just an illusion, and the year came to an end. And when she was about to say goodbye to the first standard or first class in the spring, she felt very bad, and she also had a kind of feeling of guilt. She thought like she was about to abandon the author once again. But fortunately, in the following winter, she came to know that one of the teachers of the school teaching in the third grade is going to retire from the school, and immediately the author's mother petitioned the school board and requested for the transfer to the grade 3. And by God's grace, it was granted. And once again, when the author was at the age of 8, she was teaching to the third standard. Of course, a mother in disguise as a teacher. That year, as I watched you mature, I was proud that you were becoming your own man, but also heard that the ties between us were loosening. By the end of that year, I was determined to put you out of my mind, for I know I was being very selfish. Still, I always wanted my child back. As I grew older, I prayed that I would one day meet him as a man, so I could ask his forgiveness. So she continued to teach him for a year. But that year, as I watched, means the mother says, as she watched him mature, she felt really proud of it, because the author was growing day after day, year after year, and she was realizing that the bond between the two was getting loosened year after year. Again, by the end of that year, the mother decided that she will simply keep the author out of mind, but that was really very difficult for her. But ultimately she could do it, she had to do it, because she wanted to really see the author as a fully grown up man, and if at all they could meet again, she would also request for forgiveness. After listening to the story of the mother, the author felt very bad. My throat tightened and tears stung my eyes. Forgive her. The very idea that I should judge her was outrageous. I stood woodenly, immobilized by my emotions. She made the first move slowly, humbly, She held out her arms. For the first time in 37 years, I touched my mother and she touched me. The moment the author heard the word forgiveness, the tears started coming out from his eyes. In fact, it was really very difficult for him, even though he was a professional psychiatrist. But now he himself became almost standing over there woodenly and immobilized, because so many emotions gathered in his mind and he was totally disturbed. But ultimately, there was a sense of satisfaction that he could see his mother for the first time in the span of 37 years or so. He saw his mother, and now you see what happened there. She made the first move, gradually, humbly, slowly moving towards the author, opening her arms, and of course, that was the very first ever touch of that mother, and the mother that of the son, and that was the great union of mother and the son. This is the end of the story here. So we can analyze this story based on the psychoanalytical theory of Carl Jung or Sigmund Freud and other theories as well. So as a matter of fact, what I feel, this is really a very emotional story that you might have learned in your life. But the end of the story is really very good, that the mother and the son could see each other, could meet each other, and for the first time they touched each other in the span of 37 years or so. So that's all from my end for this story. Thank you very much.